And just to remind everybody that this is being recorded.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to our November meeting, a thought-provoking discussion about the wonders and concerns of AI with our presenter, Roy Folkman. Well, first of all, thanks to Ramona and Nevada County Media for hosting our meeting. Just wanted to review quickly our Sacramento SMT board. Myself serving as chair, Mona is secretary treasurer. Our managers, Jed, John, we're both at the meeting. Victor, our newest manager, thank you, is at the meeting. Robert Erickson, John Laron. We still have one open position for manager if anybody's interested. Paul Turner's our past chair. Yeah, so we have that position open. Let us know if you want to help us out at all. And just a reminder that this is Mona and my final lap. So we're looking for people who want to maybe be interested in chair or serving as some role in SMT board. So let me tell you about Roy Folkman. Roy was raised in Creston BC Canada and graduated from the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. He began his career as a maintenance technician working at Canadian broadcast facilities and spent time as chief engineer of Haste Video in Vancouver. Roy has worked for 35 years in both sales and technical roles within the media community. In 2014, he began working as a strategic account manager in the US for Grass Valley. Recent roles include VP of Sales for North America for Embryonics and VP Sales Americas for Tag Video Systems. He currently works for Synesys and lives in the Toronto area with his wife and son.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
I should have noted that when I worked at Grass Valley, I had the pleasure and honor of working with Bob Huddleston.
Oh, yeah. Now you're just handy. So let's see.
Shall I go ahead and share?
Yes, you share, and I'll see if I can set up the screen.
It'll pop up there, and then you can pop out. Yeah.
Perfect.
As soon as that even, you can do that.
And I should have also included in my bio that I'm on the SMT Toronto board of managers.
Great. That's good to know.
All right, so I can take off, Bob?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for having me. It's an honor to present. I wish I was there in person. I love going to California. I always refer to it as paradise, and you're all lucky to live there. All righty. So I will go very quickly through some disclaimers and background and context. I may sound like a lawyer just for a moment. Then I'll get into some AI media workflows. What I've found, what customers ask me for, and people I talk to ask for, is they say that in AI there's generally discussions, but not a lot of specific references to AI or to media workflows, and that's what I've tried to incorporate in the presentation. And then I'll talk about a positive AI story, a broader perspective, and I'm really looking forward to your comments and questions. Please don't hesitate if you want to ask a question or comment during the presentation. Just feel free to just speak up and comment away. When I present this presentation in previous forms, it's always been updating, but I generally put together a little panel to critique my presentation because I have a little more concern about AI than optimism. That may show in my presentation. So please critique me. And this is something I wanted to share that I put together. I call this an AI concern spectrum. You could call it an AI freakout spectrum, but on this scale at 0 is the belief that AI is everything okay, Bob?
Yeah, they're just having me.
Ken, can you go ahead and mute yourself? I think you got a little noise coming in.
All right, I'll carry on. So at 0 on the scale is the belief that AI is a nothing burger, and then at 10 is the belief that AI is going to kill us all. And there are serious people that believe that are in either of those camps, right? You're probably aware there's a large amount of concern, and then there are people who don't think AI is a big deal at all. I'll share now where I sit on this spectrum. When I started researching, I was at a 5, which is AI represents a significant technological change, but we will adapt. We always have. And the more I've researched, the more I've talked to people, the more I've spent time thinking, I've moved up and up and up. So now I'm at an 8, which is AI is the most consequential and dangerous force of change in society, but it also has incredibly positive possibilities. So that's where I'm at, and that'll, like I say, that'll show in my presentation. And at the end, I may ask you all where you sit on that spectrum. So this quote is important, I think, in the realm of AI and media. This is Joanna Massajuska saying that I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and dishes. I think it's really well said, and it speaks to the decisions that we have to make in our industry, right? What we're going to allow AI to do in the media industry, and what we want to remain as a human function. But I don't think anybody wants the world to evolve where AI is doing all the interesting things in our society and we're all doing things like laundry and dishes, right? So we don't want to turn everything over to AI. I wanted to include an acknowledgement out of respect. There is change going on in the media industry. There's job loss and job change. AI is a driver of that, and I'm going to be talking about that. And I'm going to be speaking specifically in the media workflows, including how human function is and can be replaced by AI, speaking again to those decisions that have to be made. So want to proceed with respect and in that realm. This is not a sales presentation. I do include companies as examples within the context of the presentation, but I'm not endorsing any of them, just as context in the presentation. AI generated images are used, and there are, as you know, important distinctions between AI and ML. In this presentation, I just use the term, I stick with the term AI. And a warning, in this presentation, someone who grew up in a small Western Canada logging town is going to talk about their feelings and talk about things philosophical. AI is a philosophical subject, so that deserves a warning as well. And my opinions don't necessarily reflect the opinions of my employer. So that's the disclaimers, the lawyer part out of the way. And now diving in. So Schopenhauer once said, everyone takes the limits of their own vision for the limits of the world. And the limits of our world are changing because of AI. And in fact, the limits of each individual are changing and growing because of the capabilities of AI. Are we destined to, and do we want to, live in a world where the end credits of the movies we watch and the shows we watch look like this? AI is going to bring on the greatest change in the history of the media industry, my opinion. This presentation will outline that perspective. It's okay if you disagree. In fact, it's encouraged. The only way we're going to be able to navigate the overwhelming changes brought on by AI is through thoughtful and respectful exchange of ideas. This is a somewhat interesting quote from Samuel Butler about the inevitability of machines taking over the world. Now, the quote is somewhat interesting, but what's really interesting is that he said it in 1863. So this conversation, this discussion has been going on for a long time. Obviously, computers weren't around, AI wasn't around, but industrialization was happening at that time. Machines were being introduced, and that was the context for his comment. To borrow a phrase from show business, AI has worked for 80 years to become an overnight. But it feels like that, right? It feels like AI is upon us suddenly, and it's growing, its capabilities are growing exponentially. There's incredible AI momentum. It's a giant train roaring down the track. There's no stopping it. There's a $2.8 trillion AI market. There's an international AI development race, and there's massive consumer adoption. There are cautionary voices from important people, knowledgeable people, but there is no stopping AI. There's just implementing it the right way with consideration or not. There was a letter signed by 350 researchers and executives, including, I mentioned leaders and important people, but the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, Google senior AI executives, the chief technology officer of Microsoft, the chief science officer of Microsoft, and also other notable people who've spoken to what they call the existential risk to humanity of AI: Alan Turing, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, and Geoffrey Hinton. Jeffrey Katzenberg says that the cost of producing an animated feature film will be reduced by 90%, and that's unfortunately largely due to reduced requirements, staffing requirements and people. Hollywood Reporter published a study, 300 leaders, again talking about job effects and job displacement, and putting that number at over 200,000 jobs being affected. AI safety is an important area of study within AI, and the term mechanistic interpretability, it's an awkward term, but it's the study of why and how AI does things, how it makes decisions, why it makes certain decisions, and how it comes up with results. So very important to understand. We know there's hallucinations in the AI models currently, but that's an important study of how to keep AI safe. And I included the CEO of Anthropic, whose chatbot is called Claude. You're likely aware, but he's someone who's a leader in this area and takes AI safety very seriously. A philosophical tangent, if you don't mind, reflecting on tech and media inventions. They've been mimicking human functions for a century and a half. Microphones mimic human ears. Cameras mimic human eyes. Computers mimic the human brain. Now we're moving into an era where technology is mimicking the most precious of human functions: creativity, craft, and relationships. The implications are both staggering and frightening. So now I'm going to jump into media workflows and talk about solutions and functions and capabilities that AI has within specific media workflows. I'm going to start with a really simple one. And we have all lived with the challenges of varying aspect ratios and screen sizes within our industry, right? As a real-time solution in the realm of SDI in 2110, there's the AFD codes that can be embedded in signals so that equipment in line can react to it and produce the best possible output or target aspect ratio. But that's certainly imperfect, and it really amounts to deciding where to put the awkward black bars most of the time, right? So now there's an AI solution. This is more of a file-based solution, but is a good example. A company called Pika.art. They have a solution where you can have content in a certain aspect ratio, specify a target aspect ratio. In this case, you have content on the edges that doesn't exist, that you need filled in. So it goes in, analyzes the content of the image, and then simply creates content, right? The background was barrels, so it analyzed that, realized that, created more barrels so that you could fill the screen. So again, it's very simple to start with, but an important example as well. And this capability exists. This is CGI content. It exists for camera captured video as well. And this capability does exist. Adobe has a solution within their Creative Suite. Now, more complicated, and I think a better example, but certainly with implications. Dubbing. We all know dubbing is when you produce a feature film in one language, say English, but you want to release it all over the world. You can either do subtitles or you can dub the audio, and historically it's meant hiring actors that speak in a different language, reproduce the dialogue in a different language, and then re-edit the film. So there is now a company, an AI company called Flawless, that can take that original film in, say, English, clone every actor's voice, reproduce the dialogue in any language you want, and then produce a version for that language, and also go in and pixel by pixel manipulate the image around the lips so that the lips now move with the new language, the new dialogue. So you then have perfect lip sync. So I think this is staggering, a staggering solution, staggering technology, and staggering capability. So this company is really impressive and has gained traction in the market. Now, Flawless is for feature films. There are solutions as well that are slightly different for, say, the corporate market. If you want to produce a corporate video and then release it around the world, this company, Haste, allows you to upload an image or video of yourself, and then it will learn from that image, but create an avatar. So creating a separate 3D model, if you will, of yourself. And then you can feed it text or sound and ask it to reproduce that in a different language. And then it will use your avatar that looks exactly like you, produce content of you speaking in a different language. So HeyGen is one company, Synthesia is another company that does this. So dubbing historically looked something like this, in very, very simple terms, right? This is the English master. This is a lot of people in all sorts of functions: translators, writers, lawyers, voiceover artists, mixers, editors, technical staff, coordinators, producers. It goes on and on and on, right? There's a lot of people involved traditionally in producing those other target language versions of a film. Now with AI, it looks like this, right? The people are gone. AI can take that English master using generative AI, voice cloning, image manipulation for perfect lip sync, language translation, using large language models. It can take those that say English master, use AI to produce content in any language you want. And as I mentioned, that the product now using AI has perfect lip sync. So it is in fact better in some ways. In one way particular, when you did it the old way and you hired actors to speak a different language, they traditionally they wouldn't go back and edit. They didn't have the capability to go back and change pixels around the mouth so that the lip sync was off. We've all seen that in movies, right? Now there's perfect lip sync. And in fact, in the SAG-AFTRA contract now, the Screen Actors Guild, there is a provision for lip sync. So studios and producers have the right to go in and change pixels around the mouths of actors to achieve lip sync. And of course, there's concern within the voiceover community and the dubbing community, and there's a petition with over 100,000 signatures. So a good example of an AI solution, but also an example that shows and illustrates the human cost, right? So decisions need to be made about whether we allow or decide to handle movies in this way, but a really, really incredible technology. So live production, another media workflow. Again, all of the people and all the jobs that are involved in live production. Now with AI, there is a solution for automating live production using sport-aware AI camera tracking, AI voice generation for commentators, AI generated graphics, AI switching. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying the Super Bowl is going to be produced this way. This is evolving in its early days of this particular media workflow, and it's largely being used for lower tier productions and things like sports teams who want to produce their own games and stream them out. So there are companies, one company is called Pixelot, another company called VO, who have solutions in this realm. And this is advancing and getting better and better, of course. Play out and distribution, another media workflow, and all those functions that historically have required craft and humans, content prep, transcoding, audio normalization, editing, SCSI insertion, scheduling, master control operators, all those tasks. And now there is AI content prep and SCSI insertion, AI powered VOD, AI powered cloud playout, dynamic ad insertion, and AI scheduling. So another example of the capabilities of AI within a media workflow. And asset management, the tagging, the creation of metadata, the transcription, the indexing. Historically, that's been people viewing the content that's been ingested to create, to type the metadata so that the content is searchable. Now with AI can go in and analyze the content and do emotion-based indexing, multi-language transcription, facial recognition, image recognition, in some ways produce even better metadata than what humans could, and certainly do it faster. And one company in this realm is called 12 Labs. Content creation. AI holds the promise of having the ability to go in and learn content libraries and then produce new content. To learn content and then produce new versions of that content with potentially new stories. And one example in the realm of music is fake Drake. So Drake is a musician. AI went in and learned all of the Drake music and then produced a song that sounds like Drake, but was produced by AI. So AI has the ability or the promise to learn content libraries and produce new content. And one interesting example, Notebook LM is a Google product. It has the ability, as an example, for you to provide it with documents, say a PDF document, say a user manual of a piece of equipment or a financial report of a company, and you can feed it a document or documents and then ask it to produce a podcast, and it will produce an incredibly professional sounding podcast with co-hosts having conversations about everything in that document and analyzing any graphs that were in the document and discussing that. They're not, of course, real people. They're AI voices that can learn content and produce new content, as an example. And this is and this is appealing to people who may, for convenience, like podcasts and want to be able to learn while they're in a car or exercising or something like that. And Ken, I hear, did you have a comment or a question on that? No?
I'm sorry, I accidentally pushed the button that activated my mic. I will
No worries.
click it off and go back to manual mode here.
No worries. No worries. So this is producing podcasts. This capability will no doubt increase, and one day soon, the ability to produce shows and video content will exist. The ability to do text to video exists. There are a number of solutions. Sora from OpenAI is one of them. Certainly text to images have been around for a long time, but now there are more and more solutions that provide text to video. Editing, and I gotta say I got tired, maybe even a little depressed of oh, sorry, Ken, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a comment. I'm taking some notes here. You had those slides earlier that showed all those people going away and being replaced by AI. The question I have is, AI doesn't magically exist by itself. It's created. And can you comment on how many people are involved in creating the AI system that results in the loss of all those other human jobs?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know that I could answer it fully, but I think it's a really valid point, and no doubt there have been a great number of people. But I would, my own opinion, I would say the number of people involved in creating the AI solutions has been less, certainly less than the potential number of people displaced. And as well, I from my own research and how large language models are trained and produced and refined, there's less human involvement than there was initially. There's something called RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. When training AI models, there used to be these higher teams of people to look at the content and then make corrections. And my understanding is that's required less, so fewer people are being involved in training those models. But no doubt there will be new AI solutions, and it's a really important question. I can't put exact numbers on it, but I think it's important.
I'll pose a guess.
Sure.
I would say conservatively, it's a order of magnitude reduction in AI personnel versus production personnel. But I think that's probably a very conservative guess, and that's just my input. I always like to answer the question that I ask others to do, just as fairness.
I appreciate that. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Ken. Keep them coming, everyone. Really like the comments. Editing. So I got tired and a little depressed of creating slides that have disappearing humans. So no more of those, but the story goes on, right? Editing is another realm. The craft of doing highlight editing for sports has existed for a long time, right? To be able to take a basketball game or football game and produce a 2-minute highlight package that used to require teams of people taking great pride in that work. And now there are AI solutions. You can provide, it's a company called Magnify. You can provide them with a copy of a game, football, basketball game, and say, hey, I want a 2-minute highlight package. AI will analyze the content. It has learned the sports and continues to learn them, so knows the key points and produces a highlight package for you. A prediction with some consensus, 90% of editing jobs will be replaced by AI within 5 years. Now, there is a news channel launching in the near future called channel1.ai. Every on-air personality on this channel is an AI created avatar. There are no real people on camera. This is not a real person. This is not a real person. This is not a real person. Every on-air personality on this new channel, new news channel, is an AI generated avatar. And in radio, there is AI generated DJs or AI generated voice that does the function of a DJ. This particular company is called Futuri. And Ken, I just want to check in. I think your hand may still be raised just from your original comment, or did you have another comment? Oh.
I accidentally left my hand raised. Excuse me.
Okay, no worries. And within software solutions in the media industry, the AI assistant, right, is generally a first step where you're working on, say, a creative piece of software to create content, and it'll be there, and in the context of what you're doing, it will create suggestions. And when I already mentioned RLHF, so this is one way that humans train AI. A simple example, right? That AI assistant provides, say, 3 or 4 examples of things you might want to incorporate. And every time you select one of them, you're training it that was the best suggestion. So it can improve based on your preferences, based on the context you are working in, and get better and better. So that's the realm of an AI assistant becoming more and more prevalent in media solutions. And certainly Adobe's Firefly is one really successful example. So this is an AI assistant that can make suggestions. You can ask it to do things in the context of what you're working on, and that exists for Photoshop, Illustrator, and Adobe Express. So AI is good at writing because it has consumed and learned from virtually every word ever written, right? That's the scale of AI and the training of the large language models. Someday, not too far away, AI will have learned from virtually every pixel ever produced. On this slide, I attempt to tell a story about how AI, the developments of AI are happening all of a sudden within the last couple of years and are also accelerating. So I've named, this is me making this up, I'm calling these the 4 pillars of media, right? Text, audio, still images, and moving images. So each of those pillars has technological innovation, technological advancements that are creation assist, replication, distribution, and then with AI, autonomous creation. So to take text as the example, a creation assist technology, an invention, a development for creation assist was the stylus and the typewriter, right? So that dates back centuries. A replication technology for text is the printing press. A distribution technology for text is the telegraph. And now autonomous creation uses AI. All 3 other pillars go through those same stages, and again, date back decades, and even over a century, but every one of those other pillars goes through those phases of technological innovation and implementation. And all of the autonomous creation using AI on these 4 pillars has happened within the last couple of years, right? So we went from centuries of development and change to now 2 years, and we have AI solutions for autonomous creation in all of these realms, right? And the advancement, the capabilities, the power is improving at an exponential rate. And it's important to note that the AI that uses, of course, large language models, and in large language models, now multimodal, so a language model, large language model can perform functions on text, audio, still images, and moving images, multimodal, and everything is language. In what's called the transformer model, everything is language. So as models become better and better, they can be applied to more and more things. And these are examples for the media industry, but in the medical industry, right? DNA and health data, that's language. So there are AI solutions using the same language, large language models for those. A bit more on large language models and the training, and I've got a slide as well that has references to documents and papers, and one of them in there is a really good YouTube video produced by somebody who used to work at OpenAI, but it's excellent about the training of large language models. So as I said, everything is language, and when large language models are being trained, they scrape the internet, right? They spend a ton of time churning GPU cycles, and they compress that knowledge that they scrape from the internet. But the actual, and this blows my mind, and you all may have comments and certainly know this better than I, but I can't believe that the actual executable, the program, is about 500 lines of code. There are billions of parameters, but the actual program is tiny, right? Doing all these incredible functions, and it's a tiny program. There is as well in the page that references material. There's a reference to a scholarly paper called "Attention is All You Need," and that was a groundbreaking paper in creating what's called the transformer model that really created a leap forward in this. So wanted to include that. Somebody, if you can explain to me how something so powerful can be done with 500 lines of code, that would be something. So now that there was depressing content in that section. Now I'm going to get into some more positive stories, a more positive outlook, and how AI could potentially help us all. So for broadcasters, for news, media content that builds community and connection will be highly valued. It can't be replaced by AI. Trusted, unbiased, informative content will thrive in contrast to deepfakes and content that has an agenda. There's a positive story for content creation artists, right? Opportunity for a single artist to execute their vision to create content with all these powerful tools, a lowered barrier of entry and an explosion of creative tools. Could AI catalyze an era of explosive creativity? Could media fully realize its promise of becoming a more engaging way to communicate? Will this open up opportunities for people with our skills? Could it up our realm in the game, up our game in the realm of human relationships, community, empathy, kindness? Could it result in heightened appreciation of human craft and human connection? Could it expand our intelligence and creativity? This, I believe, is an important question. It's a big question, but as I spend time thinking about the possible positive outcomes for AI, this is one place I arrive at. So if we ponder what percentage of people in our society are doing jobs that they love, jobs that they would choose to do if they could choose to do anything, ponder how much happier our society would be if we had freedom to choose what we wanted to do, to pursue our passions and find fulfillment. I think the number of people doing what they absolutely love in our society is a pretty low number, like below 5%. Tell me if you disagree, but it's a low number. And can you imagine how happy our society would be if everybody could do? And the tie-in for AI is that if AI, and again ties into that quote of AI doing the dishes and laundry, right? If AI can do the things that people don't want to do, and it frees up people to then do the things they love, then that's I think a pretty good outcome. That would be a whole new world, right? And the whole, I mean, gosh, the whole economic system would change, right? So this is kind of just pie in the sky thinking, but I think as an example of a potential positive outcome for AI in our society, I think that's an important question. Ken, I see your camera coming on. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. And
Thank you.
I've been taking some notes here, but I want to get philosophical, but I'd like to let you end your presentation before I launch off into that.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right. Okay. Sounds well. I look forward to it. I'm steaming towards the end, towards the conclusion here. So, this is some of the reference material. I included some books that I've found that I've enjoyed. I often, people ask me what to read, and I often say as a starting point, it's really great. The Ray Kurzweil book Singularity is Near, which is old now, is 2005, but I say if you read the first half of that book and then the final third of Homo Deus, that's a fantastic intro and overview and a thought-provoking session on AI. So both great books. Yuval Harari now has a new book called Nexus. These are all good, and I've got a couple slides on AGI coming up as well. And Ray Kurzweil in 1999 or 98 predicted that we'd reach AGI, and I'll define that coming up, artificial general intelligence. But he predicted we'd reach AGI in 2029, and that was in 1999 or 98. And most people, or many people now, are saying that's about right. What they're predicting is when we will reach AGI. So some interesting stuff. And now this is a crowded slide. I can send this to anybody that wants. Reach out to me. You can take a screen grab now, or I can come back to it later and take a screen grab. But I'll highlight as well that YouTube video on large language models, what I thought was excellent. Andre Karpathy is right here on YouTube, so you can search that on YouTube. And the scholarly paper, Attention is All You Need, is here. But all sorts of podcasts I found that are good and interesting companies captured there. I hope I can use the term technology geek and not offend anybody, but I hope it's okay to say we're all technology geeks. I'm a technology geek, but we've all decided to dedicate our careers in a space that honors artists, right? We're working in technology, but we're working in a space that is creating and distributing art, right? Shows that inspire and educate people. And for AI to then take away the people part of the creative process, that really bothers me. So I get stuck there. And I don't want to consume art that wasn't produced by an artist, right? By a person who is an artist. So that's an area where I get stuck. And the new computer programming language is English. That's not that's an inaccurate summary, but I think an interesting comment and a funny comment. But nowadays, with the ability to be a prompt engineer, that's a highly valued skill now, being a prompt engineer. But of course, all the background in coding is still valuable. You can't just not have any coding experience and become a prompt engineer or a good prompt engineer, right? So all the background in coding helps, but the coder, and I mean, I used to code a long time ago, but the coders I know nowadays talk about just how productive they can be using these tools to help them produce code. And as well, I'll comment just in the area of skills. Certainly the ability to write to APIs, to integrate different AI tools in media workflows, that's a highly valued skill, will be a highly valued skill as well. There's important work being done in the content provenance to be able to help people who consume media know when it's a deep fake and it's been AI generated and when it's real content. Really, really important work. C2PA is leading organization in that realm. Now AGI. So as if AI wasn't incredible and at the same time scary enough, now we're going to talk about the next step beyond AI. So artificial general intelligence. It's awkward because there's no generally or widely or unanimously accepted definition, but one that is generally okay with people is that it's a hypothetical type of artificial intelligence that possesses the ability to learn and perform any intellectual task that a human can. This includes, but is not limited to, the following capabilities. And you'll see in those is the one that really bothers me the most, which is creativity, but all sorts of abilities. And an imperfect definition as well is that AGI is when AI could do anyone's job, right? And all sorts of implications about that when that capability exists. But again, the timeline, some people think we've reached AGI. Some people think we'll never reach it. Some people, I would say a large number of people, experts in the field, feel that we will get there in that time range that I mentioned before, that Ray Kurzweil had predicted, the 2029, 2030 range. AI alignment, the alignment of human values and AGI is one of the most important challenges of our time. Mm-hmm. Ties in with the containment problem. There was a computer scientist who worked at Stanford in the 1960s. His name was Roy Amara, and he coined this law, Amara's law. We tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. And Bill Gates actually references this law when he speaks about AI. And I think I sense that it could prove to be really accurate, is that AI will have an incredible effect and do incredible things in the long run, but it might take a little while longer than we think to get there. Even though it seems like it's happening, it may take a little longer. We all work with complex systems and have learned to respect them. We know that if we add a complex system into a complex system, it requires a great deal of planning and thought. AI is a complex system being added into society, another complex system, and every human being is a complex system of emotions and chemistry. It requires planning and thought. It requires a respectful dialogue that involves all perspectives. Now, in an act of audacity, even though I'm not a lawyer, I'm gonna this part of law is really important in the realm of AI and media, so I'm gonna try to present it somewhat quickly. But there is a term in law called fair use. In the US, it's called fair use. In the UK and Canada, it's called fair dealing. but it was written, certainly wasn't written for AI because it was written a long time ago, but it was written for when a human produces copyrighted materials, and when it's okay for another person to use that copyrighted material and transform it enough so that it's not just copying, and then produce it as their own, right? So it's filled with gray area and nuance, but it's really important now for AI. So it's a legal doctrine in the US that allows for limited use of copyrighted material without obtaining permission from the copyright holder. It's based on the principle that certain uses of copyrighted works are considered fair and do not infringe upon the rights of the copyright holder. So now, speaking about the things that AI does, right? AI creates content, and AI systems may generate content such as articles, music, or images. The use of copyrighted material in generating such content may raise questions about data analysis. AI systems often analyze large data sets, which may include copyrighted material. So you can start to see where all the lawyers and judges are going to be spending a lot of time arguing about AI and what it can and cannot do, and that's already unfolding, right? Text and data mining. AI systems might perform text and data mining on copyrighted texts or data sets. Training AI models. Training AI models often involves the use of large data sets which may contain copyrighted material. So this could be a logjam in AI and its implementation. Certainly respect for creators of content needs to be addressed, but it's a giant gray area. As I said, laws were written originally for when people were doing things, not for when AI was doing things. So laws are a little dated. It's nuanced and complex, as I mentioned, and its application varies depending on the specific circumstances of each case. So yeah, lots of arguing to be done in that realm. There are lawsuits already happening. One example is the second one here that I like as an example, and a little bit funny, but Getty Images sued Stability AI, claiming that millions of Getty images were scraped and trained on copyrighted material trained on by AI. And the funny thing was that Stability AI, which is a tool, you enter text and it creates images based on your text instructions. Stability AI, because it had trained on the Getty images that were copyrighted, but it didn't have the right to get all the real images. It only got to the watermarked images that contained a watermark that said Getty Images. So Stability AI trained on this, and then when a person would enter text asking for an image, it would create an image and put a Getty Images watermark on the image. So they had no case, no defense. They lost that lawsuit. Getty Images won. So all sorts of lawsuits happening in that realm of copyright and fair use. So now concluding. So how will AI change the media industry? Jobs are affected, productivity is affected, is increased, valued skills are different. There's opportunity for people who know AI tools and media workflows. There's increased appreciation for human craft, heightened desire for content that connects people to the artist and to each other. In business, monetization changes, distribution changes, opportunities for trusted providers of news and educational content that connects people, and opportunities to build communities. There are big questions, and here are some of them. What human functions should remain human? What limits should we put on AI? How do we prevent the use of AI for evil? Do we want AI to create art? Could AI be used to transform us into a happier society? And how? Do we need to protect free will? Do we need to protect truth? Are the limits of our world expanding? How do we ensure that AI is aligned with human values? What will become of the media industry? And what does it mean to be human? Big, big questions. Conclusion, AI will bring on, my opinion, unprecedented change in the media industry. AI will cause the greatest societal change in human history, just my opinion. These things are priceless. Ideas, creativity, human craft, truth, human relationships, serving humans, a sense of accomplishment, pride in human work, and free will. I I want to conclude with that same quote from Joanna Massajuska, right? We want to decide what AI can do, and we want to decide correctly what humans love doing and what makes humans feel fulfilled, right? That's, I think, the biggest challenge in the media industry and in society. So I thank you very much. And I see hands raised. I see Mona and Ken. Mona?
Yeah,
maybe
thank
go.
you very much for that presentation. It was certainly thought-provoking, as the title suggested it would be. I think on your scale of, you know, the concern on AI, I probably started at an 8, and I'm probably more at a 9.5 right now, or 9.9. It scares me more. And I guess the question that I have that unlike other huge technological advancements that we've had throughout recent history, I feel like AI, there's no option to opt out. It's like, it's just going to be there, you know, whether you want it or not. And I guess that's my question is that accurate?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is accurate to, yeah, you'd have to work so hard to avoid it. I mean there are cultures that avoid technology, but I think it's just so prevalent that it will be, I'll say, nearly impossible to opt out. I think it's a really good point. Yeah.
So my option is to become a Quaker or not, right?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Ken.
Yeah, hello. I have two little items here I made some notes on. First of all, thank you, Roy. This was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Really hope that I can correspond with you in the near future.
Yeah,
talk about some of
please
these
do.
ideas.
Yeah.
But the two items I had was, I'm a local recording engineer. I like to record local creative endeavors, music and concerts. I have a huge archive of recordings of live events that have not been posted on the internet, that are not available to be scraped by AI. And I'm just contemplating that if I were a money-hungry person, that this might become quite valuable property to have, to know that this is certified, not already acquired by AI training system. So I just wanted to comment on that possibility. And do you think that unbroadcast media archives could potentially have monetary value for training purposes for AI system?
Wow, what a great question, great perspective. I think yes. I think there's going to be hunger for content to be trained on, and I imagine it would depend on the content, but absolutely, I think, yeah, really good point.
Yeah, I'll just add a comment. I'm a Deadhead, and I think the Grateful Dead concert archive is probably a phenomenal representation of human creativity in its quantity and quality. And so I'm assuming that that's already been snatched up and That's just an example. I don't have a collection of Grateful Dead quality music, but that's just a comment. Wanted to aside there. The other, thank you. The other item was, I'm concerned about the possible loss of truth, in that deep fakes can mimic and distort historical records. And just, I don't want to belabor this, but the novel I'm working on has an entity that takes over everywhere, including access to all recorded human media, and the ability to not only access all that media, but also to deep fake and modify the content of that media and control so that only the modified media is made available for people to observe. And so in that context, there now becomes no way to ascertain the truth. Because if you were to do research and look in the Library of Congress for source documents, those source documents may have been modified in a way that we cannot even acknowledge that it's been modified. So I just want to post this as a giant precautionary concern of the need for honesty at the very core of all this research that's going forward.
Yeah, well said, Ken. Yeah, couldn't agree more, right? The destabilization of truth is really a dangerous thing, right? It creates anxiety in people when they don't know what the truth actually is. Yeah, well said. Great point.
Hey Roy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is Victor with Tag. Hi. I
Hey.
heard you have a history as well with Tag Video System.
Yeah.
So thank you for your really inspiring and thoughtful presentation. I enjoyed it a lot, but it was also a little scary. First of all, kudos to all the video gamers around the world that made the evolution of the graphic cards and boards as we know it, right, possible. So thanks to them. And then I want to you showed the one camera on your slide, the VO camera. I use the camera. I want to talk about how I use it at the soccer field with a little bit of coaching. And we place it in the middle with 2 cameras. And then I record the entire game. I go home, upload the video, and an hour later, I can watch the entire game on my TV. And the 2 cameras, or the stitched camera, right, show me just the active frame, where the ball is at, where the action happens. So that's a enjoyable game to watch, like a real TV broadcast soccer game. But it also gives me the entire data of the 2 teams. How many, what the distances of each player that run, a heat map, the percentage of the intercepted passes or incomplete passes or things like that. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, you had this VO camera on one of your slides. I think it's a Swedish company.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And and then I don't know if you heard about this little anecdote about AI that happened recently, I think over the weekend or last week, where a young man or a boy, I think, teenager maybe, was doing homework and had a longer conversation with AI. Did you hear about that? No, it was a thing on Reddit, and it was I read into it in the topic, and it was really happening. And at the end, it was not ChatGPT, it was Gemini. I don't know, some other AI chatbot that was helping the person with the homework. But after a longer conversation, the chatbot or the AI concluded that the person is a horrible human being, and that he really asked him and requested him that he should kill himself and die and no longer be a problem for our planet Earth and our universe. It's a very interesting, deep, dark conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened and what was going wrong there, but at the end, I mean, these machines should be logical, right? And should be telling the truth. And there's some truth in it that we're destroying the planet. And yeah, I thought this was an interesting anecdote and happened recently, I think last week or so. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's scary. Whew. Yeah.
Look your pound up, Victor.
Yeah, you started that. Bro, you started that.
Roy, my name is Richard Jackson. First of all, thank you very much. It was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Very much enjoyed it. And I don't know if anybody let you know, but here in Grass Valley, it's just raining like crazy. It's a really crappy night out. And a little concerned about coming out and, you know, is this going to be worth it? It was worth it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
So thank you. But I've been had this nagging thought during the entire presentation that just wanted to share and get your impression. What you have done here is synthesize a lot of important information, and that's one of the reasons I appreciate it. And by synthesize, I mean, you know, basically digest it. And you know, particular for our industry, and appreciate, you know, getting that sort of updated summary of where we are now and how we got here. But the whole time I'm thinking, you know, every time I fire up Adobe PDF viewer these days, they want to remind me that, you know, if you'd like me to give you a summary of this document you just opened, I can do that. And I keep saying, no, go to hell. Where's the off button? How do I get rid of this thing? But it has been nagging me this whole time that, gee, this is a summary. You've put a lot of work into it. You put a lot of work into preparing the material, reading the material, and now tonight presenting the material, all of which you say, and I believe, could be done by AI today. And how much of this presentation that you have just done could have been done just by sitting in front of one of the AI things and say, hey, I've got a 1-hour SMPTE presentation to do next week. It's going to be about this. It's got all this material. I want to make sure you mention this, that, and the next thing. And assuming for the moment that you don't suddenly announce that, oh, by the way, this is a product of ChatGPT. If this occurred to you while you were pulling it together, and if you have any thoughts about it.
Wow, that's a great perspective. See, and that had never entered my mind. I've never thought of that while creating it. But I guess that's maybe a bit of ego in me. But the tools to create PowerPoints do exist, and those I have not played with. But it would be interesting to try and see what it would come up with.
Well, and
yeah.
You know, the corollary to that was, I was also thinking, I can't imagine, while the content AI created might be similar and you know, come to the same conclusions and you know, wording perhaps that you do. I have a hard time imagining that it would be worth coming out on a crappy rainy night to listen to. And that you know, a lot of what you know, has made this a good talk in my mind is that you're not perfect. You hemmed and hawed and ummed a couple of times, and we had some wrong button pushes and you know, that sort of thing. But that made it interesting. Whereas just a mechanical reading of a summary wouldn't have been.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, wouldn't have been human and wouldn't have had, soul, maybe you could say. But
I wonder
yeah.
if AI will figure that out and also act more human, make mistakes, do things that the audience
Yeah.
appreciates.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
Does that.
Yeah, well, I know that.
Has some like stuff, like pauses and stutters.
Yeah, and you can hear the inhale or something, in between whatever. But I don't know. That it just certainly nowadays you can tell the difference between voice on a robot most of the time. Tell the voice on robocalls and whatnot versus humans, just in a little bit of
Not for long.
interaction.
Not for long.
Yeah.
This could change. They will exactly sound like a relative.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you guys.
A relative.
The people that are here, I can show. I did some. If you can hear me, I did some. I'm the only marketing guy here, I think, probably close to it. I did play with some of the HeyGen. I know. I can say that with HeyGen's tools. You mentioned HeyGen, Roy, as well before.
Yeah.
Actually, anyway. But I did myself a little preview for NAB last year. Actually, I work on the thing, and I did it in Japanese and German and Spanish and like 5 languages, and it's pretty scary. I can tell. I created my own chatbot. I can tell, of course, I'm different, but people I know on LinkedIn just said, "Oh, good job. We'll see you there." No clue, but of course you can still tell. So it's gotten really good. To your point, it's gotten pretty close.
These scam calls will mimic relatives, right? And will call us, or the daughter will call us, and so that will be definitely happening. I mean,
so it's up to us to put some rules in place if we can, or something for that somehow.
I'm also wondering how many companies are affected already, or maybe bankrupt, right? I think right now there is this big one of. It was S&P 500, or it was a bigger company. I don't know. It's right now in the media, which is going bankrupt. It's CHEGG, CHEGG, right? Homework study company. I think it's one of the first big companies that are in the media that are going bankrupt, probably because of AI. And they also, a few years back, they presented the board of the company AI plans. The engineering group said, "Hey, we need to look into this," and they said, "No, we're good. We want to work with people, for people," and they decided actively to not look into it. So they are going out of business probably soon. But I'm wondering, right? This isn't the big company that we hear about. How many small dubbing studios, right, are affected?
Yeah.
How many small companies are completely out of work? If they could migrate and use now AI tools and doing something similar, or if they're completely out of business, then would need to find something completely different.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult these numbers to get, but would be really interesting.
Yeah. It certainly would be great to have a deep analysis of that. Yeah, really good points.
Anybody else in the room have a comment or question for Roy?
Thank you for staying up late, Roy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Ken, do you have another question?
I'm going to jump in on. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that this has been the best AI presentation I've ever seen. I've seen many of them.
Wow.
For its scope and concern about humanity, and not just a tech-oriented, a tech bragging, but a context influenced presentation. I thank you very much. But I was a technical writer for 40 years, and I really like to get creative criticisms or comments. And I just want to say that The one thing that I saw was a little weak would be discussing the deep fake aspects of AI and how that relates to the eventual loss of confidence in what is reality. So I just want to offer that suggestion for you in the future, not to criticize what you've done. It's just a spectacular presentation, but I would have liked to have heard more about that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thanks for your comments. It means a lot to me. But I think you're right too, and that is a really important area. And I do have a few more slides in that area, and that's something I cut down, and I shouldn't have done that, and I should have more than a few slides on it. So that's really good critique, good point. I really appreciate it. Bob, could we do a quick poll?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the AI concern spectrum. Show of hands in the room. I guess maybe and just comment in the chat or raise a hand.
Maybe just walk around the room and say, John, what's your number?
Okay. Good.
Hey?
Good.
Yeah.
George?
6.5.
Tony?
8.5.
Devin?
Can you hear, Roy, these answers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta live with it for a long time, so I'm 9.
Victor?
7. I'm a little bit more hopeful.
Yeah. Bruce?
Probably around 5. I was gonna say 4, but we'll give it a 6. Just gotta see what happens. Because I look at the stuff from a financial investment end to see what's happening, but there's not a lot of truth there.
And Richard?
6 to 7.
We have always figured something out. So,
Bob.
And Roy, you scared the crap out of me, so I'm at 9.
And I'm at 9.
And Tim?
I was at 8, and I'll stay at 8.
Okay. And Jed?
7 for me.
Yeah. Okay.
That's quite a good range within the group, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody believes it's nothing anymore.
Yeah.
We're
A year
on
ago.
one side of that scale.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, Roy, thank you so much. It was a great night for all of us, and we all learned a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
appreciate it.
Again, I wish I could have been there in person and had the chance to meet you all in person. But this has been fun. I really appreciate the opportunity and the comments.